Hey guys, I'm Al Washington and welcome to my Mystical Lost podcast. I'm here with Lula Starling. We are going to be talking about her latest book. But before we get started, just wanted to say real quick that we did have like a bit bad winter storm here. So the cameras maybe a little glitchy, but bear with us because we're going to keep it rolling. So just want to get that out of the way before we got started. So again, I'm here with author Lula Starling for her new book from her series, Having Hollow Mysteries, The Gilded Hotel. And I'm going to pass the mic over to Lula. Lula, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Like Al said, I'm author Lula Starling, and I'm a multi-genre author specializing in personal growth and cozy, suspenseful, old school mysteries reminiscent of like Alfred Hitchcock and The Twilight Zone. And again, my first or my debut novel, The Gilded Hotel, we're going to discuss today in this podcast.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Okay, well, we're going to get right into it. So, with that being said, I love the cover. I love the Golden Hotel. Definitely sets the tone for the suspense, mysterious coziness of it. So much love the cover itself. It sets the whole tone. Pictures worth a thousand words. Definitely love it. I love your character, Ivy. I love how you described her. And in like the first few, like I said, pages of the book, it really felt real. Like I said, it really hit home of how she was discovering herself and not leaving her corporate job or whatever, and just really taking the time to focus on herself. So, with that being said, how was it creating her?
So, as you just mentioned, Ivy came from a very honest place. I've been in similar situations throughout my life where you have to reassess and rebuild and redirect. So, I wanted to really show that Ivy was someone who was intelligent and capable, but even with that, she was still questioning her direction and purpose and
Right.
kind of how she fits into the life that she was built. And I think a lot of people, especially us women, reach a point where they realize they've been moving forward without fully choosing a direction, kind of like getting pushed along with the crowd. So writing Ivy, meant letting her sit kind of like in that discomfort without rushing her through it. And I didn't want her to be overly polished or immediately confident, like you're just going to figure things out in the first few pages. I really wanted her to sit and have time to absorb her reactions and her instincts to warm up, just to make her really feel human.
Exactly. And you definitely put that in the first few, obviously the first chapter, absolutely. And again, it felt like home because resetting yourself, like you said, is just not rushing to get into something else to really reset yourself. And
Mhm.
that can't be any more true. And it feels like if I'm doing that now, you feel like you're being lazy or whatever. But like you said, it's discomfort. That's exactly what it feels like. You hit it, Lula. It's like that's exactly what it feels like. Just feels so discomfort.
And when you mention that, that comes from that hustle culture mentality that if you're not moving every second of the day, that you're lazy, and that's absolutely not true.
Right.
Rest is just as much of a part as a process. When you sleep at night, that's when your body rebuilds and renews, and you have to do that with your mind too. You just can't. That's how Ivy came to the point she was in now. Hustle, 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 go, 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 being pushed forward, and it leads you to a place that you obviously don't want to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. Can't be any more true. Absolutely. Was there, not giving too much away, was there a scene or a chapter in the book that you found the most challenging to write?
So, what I found most challenging to write actually isn't a scene. It's a character, and it's not one that you would think of. It's actually the hotel itself. So,
Right.
I wanted the hotel to not be more than just a setting. And when I tried to write it, is I wanted it to behave more like a character,
Hmm.
something that was alive, but not like in a ghost or spiritual type of way, but in like an organic type of way. It has a memory, it has moods, it has secrets, and its walls hold stories and things like that. So it was really hard to write that because technically the hotel is an inanimate object, but at the same time, it has that personality.
Right. That's yeah, and I definitely feel that with the supernatural, absolutely, for that. Um, So let me, I'd like to ask all my guests this. What made you want to become a writer? Does something or someone lit like a fire under your ass to really bring out your passion as a writer?
No,
Mm.
so this is the thing. I always kind of like doodled around in some type of creative medium like throughout my life. And when I was younger, at one point, like in school, like elementary and middle school and stuff like that, I did dabble in writing. But I've done
Okay.
everything from drawing to sewing to crafting, all kinds of things. But I think that writing right now is the medium that fits where I am as a person, and it serves as a medium to help me be the most creative because your mind is endless, and so you can create as much as you want, as little as you want, whatever you want. And the only materials you need are your mind and your laptop, or if you do like do old school, is your pen and your paper, and the sky is literally the limit. So I guess writing at this point, I just have so many things swirling around in my head, is the only medium that's versatile enough to contain all of that or be able to take all of that.
Right. Yeah, you're that. And you mentioned regarding, like I said, with the Twilight Zone and the Alfred Hitchcock. Do you happen to have a favorite of Alfred Hitchcock and the Twilight Zone? You said definitely inspired you with this book.
So you haven't watched them truthfully, like since I used to watch them with my great grandmother,
Hmm.
who has gone on, and I can't remember if it was an Alfred Hitchcock or Twilight Zone, but one that really stuck out to me was that where they were on this planet or on Earth, I guess, where the race was like a humanoid type pig, and there was a woman that looked regular, like an everyday woman, and she went through all this plastic surgery and different things to try to look like um, the swine race that she was living in, and nothing worked. And they wound up sending her off to an island where it turns out what all the people there look like, people do here. And I
Right.
thought that was really ironic because it's it's always been said beauty is the eyes of the beholder, but it's just so interesting. Like she was trying to make herself look like a pig here in our universe, in our timeline. Like, why would you want to do that? But
Right.
because that's how everybody else was, she went to all these endless lengths to try to do so, only for nothing to work. And so instead of trying to assimilate, I think maybe part of the message too is that you have to kind of like find your own tribe sometime.
Right. Yeah.
Go where you're welcome, not where you're tolerated. So that's it. There were so many of them, but that's one that really stuck with me because it was just, just so interesting, the dynamic of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a very good episode. And like I said, I looked at her, I'm like, wow, she looks normal. She's not a, bad looking lady, but you're right. She wanted
Mhm.
to look like everybody else. And the guy who came to rescue her, it was a very good episode, Beauty is the Eyes of the Beholder. Because no offense, they looked anyway, whatever. But that's just that was the
True.
norm. Well, that was just me. They looked, they weren't all good looking. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're
Yeah.
saying. It definitely had a profound message, especially for that. Um, episode. Beauty is the eyes of the beholder. My favorite with Twilight Zone would have to be I love Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up and The Mask. Definitely still. Did you
Mm.
see one of those episodes? Those are one of my favorite episodes of the Twilight Zone. Is
I
yeah.
want to say the Max one sounds, but I might be confusing it with current day. You know
Uh-huh.
what? I feel like I need to make a day of that or a weekend and find some old school episodes and just start watching those again and kind of like relive that nostalgia. That might also
Yeah.
give me some further inspiration too. But what did you like about the mask you were saying?
The Mask was one of, and the reason why I love The Mask is because it's a huge inspiration for my first supernatural horror novella, Piggy Piggy. That's what it's
Mhm.
called for my series, Danity's Twisted Ornaments. And I'm definitely looking to get that out this year, but based on,
I
like I said,
saw you. I was just about to ask you, did you have a date? But you just said this year. But I saw it on your website.
yeah, I know. Right? Yeah, I know everything's being pushed back, and we were talking about resetting and getting myself situated because I'm making a big transition in my life, which is taking some of my time now. So I'm
Mhm.
going to try my best. No, I'm trying to. I'm going to try my best to get it out at least the first novella this year, for that. Regarding what the timing now, my big transition, and I don't want to go any details with it, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's going on right now. But the reason why I like The Mask, it was very inspirational, especially for my first novella very freaky, like how their personalities were, like how they are, the greed and everything is showed on the outside. So
Mhm,
that to me
mhm.
is very scary. You can have all the money in the world, but maybe I'm superficial with looks, but the way they looked, they're going to be like that for the rest of their life. That really just freaked me out, especially
Yeah.
black and gray, excuse me, black and white. And the concept of it is like you're showing how
Mhm.
your true colors are literally your physical appearance.
It's
So
written all over your face.
exactly, yeah, exactly. So that really definitely does hit home. So absolutely, I know, with it, but that's definitely one of my favorite episodes. If you happen to look at it, definitely check it out again if you haven't seen it, but it was good for that. So, Lou, do you have any tips or pointers for any of all creative writers?
So my main tip and pointer is to pay attention to what you're naturally drawn to, not what's trending. There is a business aspect to writing for most people. Some people do it purely, for fun or as a hobby, but some will also want to make something out of it. So instead of trying to adapt to the trend, write what you're naturally drawn to, and
Right,
then find those people. Right? Because your work is stronger when it's aligned with your instincts. Like
right,
you might be able to write something really good that's trendy, but it will be a masterpiece if you really go what comes with you naturally, and just give yourself permission to write imperfectly. I have a folder on my computer and on my drive where I just have multiple working titles, some without titles, ideas pop in my head, and I just title it based on the genre. And some of them manifest, some of them don't, but some might not ever, some might not, just might not be the time, but just put the thoughts out there and you'll
right.
be surprised, what you'll come up with.
Right, and that's the scary part. Definitely well put, well said. Is that something I need to learn? Is that I don't want them staying in my head, but I don't want them staying on the shelf either. I really want to create and really
Mhm.
bring it out, whether, like you said, it's a hobby or if you want to get to that level of stardom or fame or whatever. I just really, like I said, some days I can do it and some days I can't, like I said, but with my mood and just, whatever's going on, like I said, in my personal life, but it's like it can feel heavy sometimes, but at the same time, I don't want to just leave it like just sitting in my head or on the shelf. So yeah.
Exactly. And that all comes to, like I said, what's drawn to naturally. If you don't feel like writing that day, don't. It has to
Right.
flow out naturally like a river. So
That's true. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And like I said, and but some days it's like, wow, yeah. I wish I could, yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. It's like, yeah, you do need to write it because nobody else is going to do it for you. But at the same time, when we were talking about resetting earlier in the conversation, that you really need to
Mhm.
take some time to rest and relax and pause. And that's something I'm
Exactly.
learning. Like I said, it's something I need to do because it feels like if I don't, I'm being lazy or whatever. But no, I need to take definitely some time for myself. Yeah, for that. But Lula, so are you excited about the next book in the Haven Hollow Mysteries series?
Yes.
You excited?
So once I finally got that first book out, which, it was a little bit of a struggle because I can be quite the chatty Cathy. So
Right.
condensing it down and just making it flow. But once I got the framework, I was able to, and they're short, it's a short series meant to be consumed in like a couple hours. I was able to come out with two more installments, and I'm working on a third, but definitely this year. You will get two more. The next is called The Whispering Lake,
Nice.
where after the hotel is up and running, you get a glimpse into Ivy's personal life. She's kind of setting up her home, and you uncover some things surrounding that. And then after that's done, she tries to get out more and participate in her community. And she goes to this ball and like this enchanted garden, and that turns out to be quite an interesting experience for her. So, The Whispering Lake, I plan to put out probably in the spring, early summer. So, when you think about when you go to the lake, you'll have something to ponder on. And then the Iron and Ivy Ball will come out in the fall.
Very nice. I'm definitely excited. I'm definitely excited to finish, like I said, the first book. So definitely many congratulations to you for that. Absolutely. But I want to thank you for coming on the loft and definitely talking about your latest. If you want to let everybody know where they can find you, your website, Amazon.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes,
You're
I'm
very
available
welcome.
on Amazon. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can download and read for free. If not, you can also have the ebook at a reasonable cost, and it's also available in paperback. Furthermore, you can find it at barnesandnoble.com. You can just search my name in either vendor as Lula Starling. I do have a website through Google Sites. It's sites.google.com
Okay.
/BRINIX holdings.com /Lula Starling author. And I know that's pretty long, so you can always find me at all of the typical socials, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads under the handle The Lula Starling Experience. And you can find all of the links that you will need there, and you can make it quite easy.
Absolutely. Yeah, Lula, thank you very much. So, and guys, definitely be sure to check out her first book again from the Haven Hollow Mysteries, The Gilded Hotel. And Lula, thank you again for joining with me. And guys, thank you guys again for putting up and again forgive us with the video as again we're recovering from a winter storm. So, thank you again, guys, for tuning in, and I will see you next time.
Thanks for joining.
Oh, you're very welcome.